Is Hamas stealing aid in Gaza? Gaza's population is on the brink of starvation. Over 2 million people are trapped under constant bombardment and siege with little to no access to food, water, and medicine. The humanitarian system is literally collapsing, and in response, Israel is redirecting all of that heat towards a single claim. Hamas is stealing all the aid. They've repeated it endlessly, and if someone sent you this video, it might be because you've repeated it too. The claim is that Hamas hijacks food and medicine convoys, that they steal and divert most of the aid that is directed towards civilians, and that this justifies extreme limits on any aid entering Gaza, even when its population is literally starving. But what do the people actually delivering this aid say? Well, the United Nations, which oversees most of the humanitarian relief in the Gaza Strip, says that there is no evidence that Hamas is stealing the aid. UNRWA, the main agency responsible for distributing UN aid, tracks every shipment from the crossing to the distribution point. Aid is delivered directly to registered family, their staff, their aid, their trucks. No middlemen. And if Hamas was stealing that aid, UNRWA has gone on record saying that they would immediately inform their donors, which they have not, because they haven't seen this happen. Well, you can't trust UNRWA because they themselves are full of Hamas, you might say, which is also a claim of Israeli propaganda that in and of itself has been debunked. But if you don't trust UNRWA, perhaps you would trust the World Food Program, which agrees with the World Health Organization and UNRWA's claims that none of this aid is being looted by Hamas, and that if it is, the number is so statistically insignificant that it barely registers. The WFP says that food is being distributed under strict monitoring. Independent aid workers on the ground say the exact same thing. Hamas is not stealing the aid, Israel is blocking it. Cindy McCain, head of the World Food Program and not known to be a radical leftist, dismissed claims that Hamas is stealing the aid and rejected the use of the word looting to describe desperate civilians scrambling to get aid. She said, quote, "This does not have anything to do with Hamas. These people are starving to death." When the aid does get in, finally, everyone on the ground, besides the Israelis, says that it is going to the right place. When it doesn't, they say it's because Israel has blocked the convoys, delayed border crossings for days, or assassinated a few more aid workers. In one case, nearly 100 trucks were looted, but not by Hamas, but rather by criminal gangs operating in the Gaza Strip and taking advantage of the dire humanitarian situation. This happened after Israel rerouted that convoy and pulled back security. And when this happened, Hamas actually sent forces to confront the gangs responsible. The ironic thing is that even if Hamas was stealing a significant portion of this aid, humanitarian experts agree that the way to resolve that would be to flood the zone with so much aid that would be impossible for them to fully restrict civilian access to that aid. In other words, the solution would be more unsupervised aid to Gaza rather than less. As someone who has worked in disaster relief for the better part of 4 years, I personally find this to be a compelling argument based on my own experience. So the idea that Hamas is stealing all or even most of the aid going towards Gazan civilians is simply Israeli propaganda. And you probably fell for it because you didn't know any better, but now you do. It's a distraction that's being used to justify war crimes, like starving a population under occupation. And then just this week, the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation launched its first aid distribution in Rafah. Thousands of starving Palestinians, many of whom hadn't had a real meal in several weeks, surged towards the aid distribution point. Israeli forces opened fire, at least one person was killed, and 48 others were injured. An inauspicious start to the Israeli-backed initiative that was supposed to fill in for the UN's work in the Gaza Strip. Humanitarian groups immediately condemned this operation as reckless and politicized. The GHF's own director resigned days before the launch, saying that the plan could not even be implemented without violating core humanitarian principles. This isn't aid, it's chaos, and it's being used to distract from the real issue. Israel is blocking aid into Gaza, and it's blaming Hamas for the consequences. Jan Egeland, the head of the Norwegian Refugee Council, said it best. Quote, "This fiasco could have been avoided if our normal humanitarian system had not been blocked by Israel for months." So no, Hamas is not stealing most of the aid going into Gaza. The real scandal is that Israel won't let nearly enough of it in, and they're using this lie to cover it up.